Welcome everybody, my name is Richard and here we've got 5 brilliant electric family cars which on the used market today, as I film this in November 24, can each be bought for under £30,000. They're getting more affordable and these are 5 of the best out there. There's a couple we haven't been able to get here today, but this is a really good selection, so I'll give you a run through of each, show you a bit about the interiors, the pros, the cons, what I like, what I don't like so much about each one, and I'll also talk to you about what you can expect for real world range. Now before we get right into this video, make sure you like the video if you like it, please subscribe if you haven't, and do leave comments below. I'll always try to read them. So the Model Y, a bit of a benchmark. Now for £30,000 at the moment, you can get a long range with a bit more mileage or a standard range with quite low mileage actually. Brilliant all-rounder, and it's got the benefit of the Tesla supercharger network, which just makes it easy. Now all the other cars can charge off the other network and some of the Tesla ones as well, and actually they're quite good networks, but it tends to be a lot more expensive than the Tesla ones, and the Tesla routing and the software is just easier and better. The standard range has got a 60 kilowatt hour LFP battery, means you can charge it 100% all the time. And that's good for a real world range of, I usually say about 220, 240 miles. Could be less, could be more, but real world, that's really quite achievable. The long range dual motor that you can also get for 30,000 at the moment, has got a bigger 79 kilowatt hour gross battery. And I tend to say that's good for about 280 miles. Again, could be less, could be more. I've exceeded 300 in one before, but typically 270, 280 is what you can expect. So a good all-round package, good size front. You can get 19-inch wheels like these, or you can get the 20-inch wheel upgrade as well. It's a practical car, but with a slopey roofline. Now, does that hinder the space in the back? We'll compare that in a minute. The handles are a bit fiddly and there's no puddle lights around here, so at night in the dark it can be a bit hard to see where you're poking around the door of handles. But I do really like having a phone as a key. So you don't need to have a separate key on you, your phone becomes a key. You just walk up to the car, get in it, it just unlocks, get in it and just start it, walk away, and it will just lock itself. So the seats are always going to be electric in a Tesla Model Y, and you've got a reasonable amount of adjustment, but I do find the seat base can be a little bit short and not massively supportive. What you do notice is this low dashboard, really good forward visibility, and of course you've got to get used to everything being on this one screen. It is very good because you can set different profiles and everything sets to how you like it, including where the air comes out the vents, how you have your seat, your mirrors, what drive mode, how heavy the steering is, loads of different customizable settings. So you have to kind of spend a little bit of time setting it up. But the system is very nice, very intuitive, the mapping's great. It's one of the only cars where the native mapping, which uses Google, you can just pinch, zoom around, find places of interest, pick a route. It's just nice and easy to use. The app is brilliant, the connectivity is great. On the inside here, I also like the fact that we've got 2 wireless mobile phone charging ports and just great storage, big cubby hole, nice cup holders, big cubby hole in here. And at the moment we do have indicator stalks, but on the revised version coming out next year, you can expect them to disappear and you'll have to have your indicators on the steering wheel like they did with the Model 3 Highland. Now, I did get used to that, but especially if you drive multiple cars, you then drive another car and you've got to get back into it and you've got to get used to it all again. So it does divide opinion. Double glazing is standard, which really helps with thermal insulation. And you can expect a Tesla to be one of the most efficient cars out of this group. It's very good for eking out everything it can out the battery, and the standard heat pump means it's as efficient as it can be even in cold weather. Now let's have a look at practicality. So I'm going to get my driver's seat into position and show you the space behind me. So there we are, that's about right, and a good view it is too. In the back here, it's nice and easy to get into, and there's a really good amount of space under the driver's seat here, so I can stretch my legs out quite well. I can also slightly recline these back seats, so I've got to lean back to do that, but I can recline this back seat, and it's great for headroom here, good for knee room, good for foot room. There's 2 USB charging ports in here, and it's really nice and comfortable and just very nice and easy to get in and out of. There's room for 3, but what I'll do in a minute, we'll get 3 of us to all sit in the back and then we'll judge which car we think is the best. If there's got to be 3 adults in the back of the vehicle. But otherwise, we've got a centre armrest here, so a couple of cup holders. I can sit here rather comfortably for a long time, and getting child seats in really shouldn't be any problem at all. Okay, so the Tesla's got quite a slopey roofline, aerodynamic advantages there, but you're left with this large, wide, big boot space, nice practical load area, and there's a lot of storage under here. In fact, I can almost get one of these large IKEA boxes right underneath here, in fact. It's almost that big. And there's a little bit of storage under this front section as well. But let's have a look how many boxes we can get in with the rear seats up first. Not going to quite, we'll get 3 across. Not quite, no, that's where you get the bigger SUV stuff you can. So I've got one, get in there we go, get 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, but in a sort of messy way, and then they've got the floor sits like that. Quick pause there as I edit this. Looking at that, I was just doubting whether I tested this, putting one box upright, which fits, and then having other box on its side like this, but it does not fit. I think I did try it at the time, and you just can't get this section in here. Okay, well, let's put the seats down and see how that then compares. And I do have some useful levers here to drop the seats down. So I figured out after a bit of faffing around, I would be able to get 11 boxes in with the seats folded down. A bit messy at the back here though, because I'd have to have the floor out and put one like this and one on top like that. But remember, you do have quite a useful storage area at the front of this car, and there's still some storage down the side. It's just not big enough for these boxes. So again, no particular order. Next up, we've got the iX3. So this shares a chassis with the petrol diesel version, so I was a little bit skeptical about this car. But having driven this one for a couple of days, I actually really rather like it. Anyone who likes BMWs will feel quite at home inside it. It's got the normal X3 body style, nice and square at the back, so that could help with practicality. But the BMW traits have just been smooth, refined, quiet, well insulated, nice steering, just good to drive actually. 80 kilowatt-hour battery in this is a nice big battery, and it's rear-wheel drive. There's not four-wheel drive option available. All the iX3s will be rear-wheel drive, but it drives nicely, it's good, and it's good for a real-world range. I tend to say about 250 miles, there or thereabouts. Again, could be less, could be more, but it gave reasonable efficiency. You've got this big long bonnet, but there's nothing underneath it that you can use for storage. So on the inside, it feels very BMW and actually quite conventional like any other car. I mean, from here, would I know it was electric? Could be petrol, diesel. I've got a stop-start button, and I've got a gear selector here for choosing to go forwards or backwards, or to have the coast mode or regenerative braking mode. But it's well finished, it just feels nice. The head-up display is useful, and the Apple CarPlay is very good. So when you use Apple CarPlay, say Apple Maps on there, it also shows those directions on the dashboard here and on the head-up display, and most cars don't do that. Most cars, if you use Apple CarPlay, it won't show on any of those systems. You have to use the native navigation for that. But everything in here is nicely finished, separate climate control panels. You've got a 360 camera on this example, a reversing assistant, some parking aid sensors. But it's comfortable, it's nice. It's got easy to get a good driving position. A more upright windscreen. It looks quite different to the Model Y. Like I say, a much more conventional car. This Harman Kardon sound system in this car is quite good. And I've got a wireless phone charger here, but there's no real storage in here. This is where there'd normally be a transmission in the combustion versions. And there's a bit of storage in the armrest here. So it's down on storage pockets, but reasonable sized door bins. You can get bottles in there. And you've got adjustable thigh support, which is something you don't get on the Model Y. And this one indeed does have electric seat adjustment. So as ever, I'll get this into my position. In the back of the iX3, it's reasonable. I've got good knee room here. I've got space under that seat in front to put my feet. It's nice and light and airy in here because that sunroof helps. And like the Model Y, I can just recline my seat a little bit as well, so it's not so vertical. And that's really rather comfortable. The downside is that it's got this transmission tunnel here, so this takes up space. It's not a flat floor in the middle, but good to see some separate climate adjustment here and a couple of USB-Cs, and it feels quite comfortable as I sit here now. So the back of the iX3 looks like any other X3 really. You do have a wiper here, you do get tinted rear windows, and it's more square than some of the other cars actually, so maybe that helps with practicality. Let's have a look. Nice flat load area, nice square boot. There's only a little bit of underfloor storage, enough for the couple of cables, which is useful, but not much else. The parcel shelf is quite a sort of heavy lump to take out, but let me remove that and put some boxes in here to show you the space. So it is actually a little bit wider than the Model Y, because I can put 3 of these boxes widthways like that, but it doesn't seem to be quite as long. However, the extra height does give me the ability to put another box on top, so it is a bit taller. There's also some convenient levers here to fold those back seats down, so let's see how many boxes I can fit in now. So I would be able to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 boxes in here. That's pretty good actually. That's bigger than I thought it would be. As you're watching this video, if you own one of these cars, please do comment below what you like, don't like about your car. If you've got a couple that you've owned and can compare, again, put those in the comments below and let everyone read what you think of it. So next up, we've got the Ioniq 5, a distinctive looking car. Again, you'll see bigger battery, smaller battery versions, two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive versions, but under £30,000 comfortably gets you a very nice low mileage, high spec version like the one here. Now, I have done some videos before when I owned a P45, that was limited edition. This one's an ultimate, but like I say, a distinctive looking car. Most people say it's bigger than they thought it would be. No funny comments there. So you've got those distinctive pixelated headlights here. This is on the 20-inch wheels. You've got these flush door handles, and basically it looks like a hatchback, but then when you're next to it, it's actually a fairly large car. But distinctive it is, real world range, I usually say about 250 miles. It does charge very fast, this car, capable of some very fast charging. You'll see a video from 2 or 3 years ago. I drove one down from Scotland. It did really well. The charging was quicker than I could eat a lunch with. And it's capable of some good efficiency, especially at lower speeds, around town, some country roads, but it suffers with efficiency a little bit at higher speeds, motorway, because I just don't think it's as aerodynamic as some. There is a little bit of storage at the front, and there is quite a big boot at the back, but we'll get onto the interior first and show you what I think of that. So the interior of the Ioniq 5, well, it's a bit of a mixed bag here for me. So immediately I don't feel like it's as premium. The quality of some of these plastics is a lot harder, but I've got no doubt it's durable. The seats are very comfortable. They don't have the adjustable thigh support underneath, but they're just nice, comfortable seats. I really like sitting in one of these. And then we've got this distinctive centre console with loads of storage down here, big empty space and a bit of storage in here. But quite distinctly, I can move this back if I want and even stretch out. I mean, one could potentially drive like this, but obviously I don't recommend that. But it does mean you just got loads of kind of nice space. You're not inhibited by a centre console, so it feels very open. I've got a head-up display, multi-function steering wheel. I've got a little separate climate control panel here, and then these two displays here. And again, this is where it lets itself down a bit, I think. It's the graphics of the software. They feel a bit out of date. It feels like from a few years ago now, if I'm honest. So it's not particularly high resolution. The menu system isn't particularly intuitive. So I'm not a huge fan of the software, and it could really do with an update to make it better and just be more intuitive. It feels leagues behind something like the Tesla, for example. You can have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto with this, but you do have to plug it in with a cable, I believe. There's a bit of a place here for your phone to charge as well. It's quite a low dashboard, the visibility is pretty good, and it is a very nice car to drive. It's refined, it's quiet, and it's rather smooth as well. This has got the waftiest suspension. It's the most comfortable ride, and combined with these seats, it does make for a very nice, relaxed, smooth, quiet cruiser. So I really like it for that. I will also point out, it's got this funny glove box, which is more like a drawer. Big doors, very easy to get in and out of. Pretty good headroom, no glass roof in this model, quite good space here, a flat floor, though with this console in this position I can't really get my feet around that too easily, but there is room to put my feet under that seat in front, loads of knee room and nicely reclined seats. Again, they're adjustable. I can sit really upright, but actually you could recline them back quite a long way. And this is a very comfortable seat to be in. Nice ventilation adjustment here as well on this B pillar, so you can get air kind of directly to you as well. A little bit of ambient lighting, couple of USB chargers, and a button on the door here for my heated seats on this version as well, so easy to get to. Something like the Model Y has heated seats in the back, but it has to be controlled from the front, so you get that, "Daddy, can you put my heated seat on, please?" and all that sort of stuff. But as I sit here in this reclined position with the ride comfort of this car, this would be a very comfortable place to be. Again, a distinctive pixelated look at the back here. No rear wiper, unless it's an Ioniq 5N, then you get a wiper blade. You got a big spoiler design there, power tailgate, of course, and you're presented with quite a big, wide, flat load area. Again, a sort of more solid parcel shelf like the iX3, so let's take that out. And what I've done is I've put the rear seats not fully vertical, because you can't really sit like that. I've left them fairly vertical. But let's have a look. 1, 3 boxes across, yes, it's a bit wider than the Model Y, very similar to the iX3, but then there's a bit more space kind of around it here. You will notice there is a little bit of storage underneath here, but there's not much to speak about, so I certainly can't get a box in there. But is it tall enough to put 4 in here? 1, 2, 3, could I get another one? No, it's not. So with the seats up, this is a 3-box car. Oh, hang on a minute, pause the video there. Do you know what, I just remembered afterwards that the seats on the Ioniq 5 can slide forwards and backwards as well. So there's plenty of legroom to slide the seat forward a bit and give a bit of extra boot space. However, even without doing that, I've actually still managed to get 4 boxes in because I thought, well, hang on a minute, what if I tip them this way up to make use of the height it does have here? And then box number 4 just goes on the front like that. If this was a more sort of square back, you could actually easily get 5 in, but the hatchback cuts this bit off, so you do have to quite quickly come down to this angle here. But it does fit 4 boxes on, so let's be fair, and it's quite nice to have the sliding seats as well. Okay, what about with the seats down? Now, have I got a lever here to drop the seats with? No. How primitive. I've got to go all the way around. So it's just about 9 boxes with the seats folded for the Ioniq 5. So then we had the Mustang Mach-e. Again, you'll find a 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive versions, and again, you'll find a couple of different battery sizes. But this particular one here is the big battery rear-wheel drive, and that gives it the best range out of all these cars quite comfortably. When I say big battery, it's massive, 98 point something kilowatt hours gross, nearly 90 usable, and even on a chilly day when I drove this, I was getting an efficiency that would get it over 300 miles. So in the summer, I think this is quite capable of 350 miles. I was very pleasantly surprised. The first time I've driven the big battery rear-wheel drive one, and very impressed. Plus it just handles nicely, feels nice and direct on the steering because it doesn't have another motor at the front. It's a really nice car to drive. And like I say, I like the look of the front of it, and with the rear-wheel drive only, you've got a big usable front space as well. I prefer the front styling to the back, and we'll come on to that in a minute. One thing I wanted to point out whilst we're here is it's got these distinctive door handles and even a number code, so you can actually put a code in here to open a door. Of course, with the key on you, you push this little button and you kind of pull it from there. It does away with door handles in here. So if you've got a Mustang, you've been using it, what do you think of this door latch system? Has that ever been a pain, or is that okay? The Apple CarPlay is distinctively large on this car. But easy to use as a result. You know, really good actually. You just hit that, it's great. It's easier to use, it's not on a fine screen. It's a big Apple CarPlay, big screen altogether with various functions, of course, the native navigation, charging. It's a wireless Apple CarPlay system. Then you've got your climate control at the bottom. So again, that's always there, easy to quickly adjust the temperature. And you've got this quick dial here for temperature and volume as well. So a big, easy to use screen. It's totally upright though. I do feel like I'd like to kind of pivot that round to me. The rest of the interior, some nice materials, a bit of material there, a bit of kind of metal effect there. Looks like leather trimmings there. I'm sure it's not leather, but it actually feels really nice. The steering wheel, again, it's got like a bit of cushioning to it, so it feels really nice to hold. I've got another little display here with some prominent information, the speed and what the car's doing on its auto steering system. Center console, storage underneath. Wireless phone charger on top, a couple of cup holders, and a fairly deep centre pocket here, which does have a separate cover you can put over it. Do you know what, the inside of this Mustang does feel nice. It doesn't have the low dashboard like, for example, the Model Y. It's a bit more like the iX3, but I've got loads of kind of knee room space around here. It's good. I can sit quite high up, so it doesn't quite have the visibility. And I can see little heating elements in the windscreen as well, so like a proper heated windscreen, which can be useful if you need that quick defrost. Again, the steering wheel feels good. Some multi-functions here. They're a bit more plasticky, the buttons, but it does feel like a good quality interior. The seats are comfortable too. Again, they feel nice. They're quite sort of squishy, supportive enough. There's not much kind of side bolster support, so you don't want to sort of get too enthusiastic with your driving, but they're comfortable. Even if they don't have adjustable thigh support, they're longer than the Model Y. In the front, there's a sunglasses holder at the top, which I really like as well, by the way. I'm always annoyed when I find I'm putting my sunglasses in cup holders and they rattle around, so another point for the Mach-e there. This one has the big glass roof, so it's nice and light in the back. Footroom under the seat in front, yes. Good knee room, yes. Headroom, pretty good. It's not quite, it just kind of comes in a little bit here, so it's not quite like some of the others, but it's perfectly fine for me. I'm 6 foot tall. Again, the seats are just quite nice and large and comfortable with a good angle of recline on them, so it's a comfortable place to be. I can put my foot across there because it's a flat floor, though it's a little bit tight in the centre, but it's all right. What's quite good is you've got a USB-C and a USB-A port at the back here, so Your kids can't argue about they've got the wrong cable for the car. No buttons for separate climate control or seat heating, at least not in this example. I do have a centre armrest here. And it's a comfortable place to be. It's just this roof lining's a bit lower than on a couple of other cars, but again, I can't really argue in the back here. It's comfortable. It'd be great with child seats. Should be absolutely fine for most people. Again, we're going to put 3 of us at the back of all of these cars in a bit and vote for which is the most comfortable for 3 adults. So the back of the Mustang is quite distinctive with these kind of heritage style lights harking back to what was a Mustang. Controversial calling this a Mustang, I know, that's another argument. But look, a slopey roof line, so I don't know how the space is going to be inside. It does have a rear wiper blade though. The camera's quite high up on this. And let's open the tailgate. In fact, I think I've got a foot sensor on this one, but I forgot about it. And inside here, well, look, we haven't cleaned this car yet, so don't look at the dirt. But what's quite interesting is this parcel shelf kind of goes with it. So that goes out of the way. Quite like that, so you're not taking things out. There's a bit of storage under here. You can get a few knickknacks in there, a couple of charging cables, but not loads. But let's see how it goes for space, firstly with the seats up. So, that's it, that tucks in there. Can we get 3 across? We can, so that is wider than the Model Y, but you can see it's not as long. In fact, the length of these is only just fitting in. So let's now put the seats down. Again, do I have a lever here to fold the seats? No, I don't. I've got a 12-volt socket, but let's go around and fold the seats. With the seats down, it's 9 boxes. I've been faffing around with it for a while, trying out different things. 2 of them have to go on the side at the front there. There's not enough height here to put another one there, so 9 for the Mustang. So this is the Audi Q4 E-tron, which shares a platform with the VW ID4, ID5 and Skoda Enyaq. So they're quite similar underneath to each other. This particular one is the bigger of the 2 batteries. So this is over 80 kilowatt hours gross, still 77 point something usable. So a big battery. And this particular one is the Quattro 4-wheel drive. Most of these will be 2-wheel drive, but this is actually a Quattro one that we've got here today. And of course, specifications, these will vary, especially with Audis, different option packs that you can put on them. So all that will vary. It feels like it's a kind of more compact out of all these cars actually, so we'll see how the space compares in a moment, but there is no front storage space. Anyway, it's freezing out here, so let's go inside. But before I do that, I was driving this car this morning, that's why it's filthy dirty, and also yesterday, and I'd bank on a real world range of about 250 miles, 240, maybe a little bit more if it's warm and you're driving efficiently, but that kind of mark. So again, quite in line with most of the others. It's really the Mustang that stands out a bit for the range here. Very nice and easy to get in and out of actually, the Audi, and it's very Audi inside here. One thing I noticed straight away is a lot of steering wheel adjustments, so I can bring the steering wheel nice and close to me, which is actually what I like. I've got quite long legs, so the seat tends to be quite a long way back, but then some cars I can't get the steering wheel out, so I noticed that in this car. And I also noticed how the seats do have an under-thigh adjustment support, and they've got quite good bolsters. Nice and comfortable, actually, nice and comfortable. What you do notice is it's got this very long dashboard. Like here to the windscreen there is very long, it's vast, but you know, the visibility is okay. Again, it's a bit more condensed than something like the Model Y. A very Audi dashboard, nicely trimmed. I'm not so keen on the glossy black, which is a bit everywhere, even on the doors here, but it works well. I've got Apple CarPlay wireless, a much smaller font and screen than, for example, the Mustang, but it's good resolution, it's nice to use. I've got a driver's display here with lots of different view options as well, which works nicely. The steering wheel feels nice to hold. A nice separate control panel for the climate, which is really nice and easy to use. You could use it with gloves on, for example. So I like that. There's storage under here, which is okay, and there's a bit of storage in here with a couple of functional cup holders there. And you can pull this armrest forward there. I did notice driving yesterday, this armrest here is a bit low and the window ledge there is a bit high, so an armrest about there would have been nice. But it's a very pleasant car to drive. Turns nicely. It's good to have the Quattro forward drive grip as well when the weather's like this, which has been awful recently. And I found that the system is quite nice and easy to use. You've got a drive select button nice and easy there to get to if you want kind of sport, eco modes and such like. Very pleasant inside it is though. And you do have ISOFIX in the front seat here as well, I've noticed. So not all cars will have that. Nice easy entry actually, and actually for what feels like the smallest car here, I've got a great amount of knee room. I can get my feet under the seat in front, and I've got loads of headroom, so this is really spacious. Pretty much a flat floor there, temperature adjustment for the rear passengers separately there. The seats have got a nice level of recline to them. No glass roof on this particular example, but so it's a bit darker than some, but it's okay. Now, do I have a couple of USB ports for the children? What's under this panel here? Is that meant to come off? That doesn't feel like it. What? No USBs? crikey, the kids are going to be moaning in the back of this one. But, you know, for me sitting here, it's actually rather good. I thought, given that this seems to be the smaller car, it might be more cramped, but this is great, actually. Very good. I like the colour of this one, don't you? Anyway, the rear of the Audi looks very Audi as well. Very nice and smart. It's a nice design. I rather like it. I do have a reversing camera on this one, but they won't all have that. I've had a couple before that don't. Now, the boot area is a bit of a different shape. Again, excuse dirt, I've been using this one. It's a lower load floor, actually. So it's not quite a level sort of load, although there's a lip here. So some versions, I think you can get a floor that sits a bit higher up and gives you some underfloor storage. This one, as it is, doesn't do that, and there isn't really any underfloor storage. There's a little compartment down there. But this is actually quite a large, deep boot. I guess if you've got, you know, a dog to go in the back, having the extra height that this seems to have might be a useful thing. I don't know, let me know in the comments below. Well, immediately there we can see it's not as wide as some of the other cars there. I can't get anywhere near 3 boxes across, but I can do that. So there's 3 there. I've got one of these big parcel shelves to take out here, and let's see what we can get. So there's 4 boxes with the seats up. It's done all right, actually, and I think you can't quite do anything like that. I can't quite get 5 because of the slope of the roofline there, but 4 boxes with the seats up is okay. What about with the seats down? It's just a bit limited where the seats fold down, that they don't go a little bit lower, because it would be easy to get a double stack inside. But as it is, I've managed to get 10 in, and that is helped by the fact the boot area is lower. This is deeper, so in fact you can have 2 of these boxes, one on top of each other. So after a lot of faffing around, I've managed to get 10 boxes in here, almost 11. Right, okay, so we've just been sitting in the back of all these cars, so let's do a quick run through summary rather than showing you quite everything. The best one is easily the Ioniq 5. It's just the widest car, foot space, width, could easily do a couple of hours, 3 of us in the back of that, no problem at all. The worst one, well, the tightest for width felt like the Mustang, but actually the kind of most awkward is probably the iX3, mainly because it's got that transmission tunnel, didn't have anywhere to put my feet. The Q4 and the Model Y were sort of in between, weren't they? You'd be okay for an hour, hour and a half for 3 of us, but the side bolsters sort of push anyone sitting on the side in. You can't sit flat, so maybe even not that long. Sort of seem okay for width, but it's just the shape of the seats, isn't it? So the Ioniq 5 is the 3 adults was quite easily the winner, really, wasn't it? Yeah. And none of the others are brilliant for long journeys with 3 adults. Yeah. The Ioniq 5 stands out. Ioniq 5 is the winner on that one. Okay, so let's try and summarise some pros and cons of each car, and then we'll wrap things up. Tesla Model Y then. So you can see why it's the #1 selling car. It's a great all-rounder. You've got the Tesla supercharger network, the software's brilliant, the app's brilliant, phones and keys good. The efficiency is very good, real-world range is great. I mean, I've done videos before, so check out other videos on the channel. Driving here on the south coast to Edinburgh, it needs just 1 charging stop, half an hour, super easy to do. I like the minimal modern interior, the 1 screen in the middle, actually you get used to that. I don't think that's a problem at all. Head-up display, I know some people would like to have. Personally, I'm not too bothered by head-up displays, but it's just a great all-rounder. What's not so good about it then? Well, the ride's a little bit firm and fidgety around town on country roads. It tends to be okay on motorways. I think the seats could be a bit more supportive and have some more adjustment to them. But other than that, it's pretty much a great all-rounder. Doesn't have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, but the native software is so good. I do agree, you don't really need it. It's nice perhaps to have the option of using Waze or something like that. So a great all-rounder, you can see why it's popular. The iX3, well look, it's compromised by the fact it's got a transmission tunnel through it. It doesn't have a front storage space because it's got that shared platform with combustion vehicles. But it's a very nice car. It's very BMW, so it's smooth, refined, and very nice to drive. The spec on this one's great. The range is pretty good. The efficiency is pretty good. Charging speed is okay, not top of the league, but a great all-rounder and very nice to drive with really good Apple CarPlay integration to it as well. So I really enjoyed that, and the practicality is great. For a car that's not too big, can fit lots of stuff inside it. Nice and square, very practical. The Hyundai Ioniq 5, probably the most comfortable. It's wafty, soft suspension, comfortable seats, very relaxing place to be, very pleasant to drive. Efficiency is good around town, country roads, but on motorways it suffers a little bit because it's not that aerodynamic. But it's a very comfortable place. It's just let down, I think, really by the software inside is a bit more simple and basic, although it's kind of hard to navigate through the menus, but the graphics are more simple and basic compared to the other cars here. So a sort of software screen update would be nice to see on the Ioniq 5, but otherwise a great all-rounder and quite spacious, very comfortable to be in the back of. The Mustang Mach-e, well, this is a great car. It's got a massive battery. Not many people would need a battery that big. but it's got a huge battery, and with a rear-wheel drive, actually quite efficient as well, so very range capable, more so than even the Tesla Model Y. So this is number one for range, the big battery rear-wheel drive Mustang. I think in the summer especially, you'll see it's easy over 300 miles out of this. So again, if you're traveling around a bit, it makes for a very good choice, coupled with very pleasant to drive, big easy to use screen, very big Apple CarPlay graphics integration, so a very pleasant car all around with some nice materials inside it as well. The Q4, again, very pleasant actually for what seems like the smallest car here. It feels it. It's got some pretty good space inside, a good deep boot. Very Audi, so I like the look of it. It feels very solid, very good all-rounder with reasonable range, reasonable charging speed, and it just looks nice and smart, very Audi. So which one would you pick? Which one would I pick? Well, it's going to be down to preferences and choices. I found the BMW very pleasant to drive. The Ioniq's wafty. The Mustang's got great range. The Audi looks smart. The Tesla probably has the best of the all-round capabilities, as long as that ride isn't too firm for you. I look forward to reading your comments on this one, but I hope it's been a useful comparison. We try to rattle through them and cover as much as we can. So thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one soon.